Good morning, guys, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check. I am Tommy. You also know me as Snorlax, and I am, as always, joined by this amazing group of guys, Tucker, Max, and Dr. Will's Outlook. I felt like I had to get the full, three-word name in there for for the show today, Will. I hope you don't mind. But yeah, no, guys. I mean, it's been a wild last few days, especially in crypto, especially if you're an enthusiast within DeFi, right? The exploit that we're seeing, on a lot of the under collateralized loans within the system right now, stemming mainly through CRV. We kind of touched on that yesterday, right? Like, why is this even an issue at all? And I touched on it a little bit as well with the Giga Chats this morning. My understanding of it is, I mean, we all know that the Curve founder, right? He has taken out two separate loans on mansions in Australia worth, around 70 or $80 million. That's basically where, the initial systemic risk is kind of, originating from. And it does seem, we can talk about it later, whether or not he's being hunted or not, but I'm personally giving the fact that we have, two full moons this month, I am giving that a little bit of significance and a little bit of weight in regards to, are they trying to hunt some of these DeFi founders? I was looking at SNX. It's also taking a very big hit. I know that Kane, the CEO of that, also has some Australian real estate. So I just think it's very funny how all of these DeFi founders just have such an enthusiasm for Australian properties and mega mansions. It's quite the very epitome. It's the epitome of DeFi, right?
Tommy, I actually have a really great appreciation for 60,000 square foot mega mansions in Australia as well. So I'm not a DeFi founder, but I think like one because I love those houses also.
My cat just did something crazy behind me, Max. I'm so sorry. I have no idea what he did. Okay. I too would love, to have two $1 million mega mansions. But the real issue right now, right, is that, the Frax pool that he is taking a loan from, and I want to say it's actually a smaller loan than the one that he's taking from AAVE. The way that the Frax lend interest payments are set up, eventually the APY will continue to double. I want to say every day. It could be up to 10,000% APY within 4 or 5 days, which is the real risk. And could put, basically all of that curve at risk, all of the rest of the curve at risk. I want to say it's about $300 or $400 million worth of CRV, even at this valuation, which is saying something. I mean, what was that worth at the top? Probably like $3 or $4 billion. But it's not a great thing if this stuff gets liquidated, guys, because you're going to have AAVE that's going to have to, take money out of its insurance fund in order to cover their bad debt. Every other DeFi protocol essentially doing the same. It's a very selfish decision at the end of the day by Michael. I mean, we can get on a moral high horse about it as much as we want, but I can't say that it's the essence of DeFi, right? That, we protect this guy from liquidation for what were some irresponsible decisions, thinking that we were out of a bear market. And now it's going to be very interesting to see, can these loans be saved? Can Curve be saved? It does look like Curve is going to be saved no matter what, but the price of CRV, however, might take a huge hit in the short term. And we're seeing that turmoil start to spill over, obviously, into the crypto markets. Bitcoin looking especially weak today as well, chilling below 29K. We swept the low. This is the setup that we were talking about last week. We swept the low. We did take out some long stops, but I was not necessarily encouraged by the fact that, we immediately saw Bybit longs rush back in to try and form the low. Bybit's really trying to form this low. And I'm going to be honest, I can't remember a time where Bybit has ever formed a low. So unless they did it through shorting, right? And eventually they will. But yeah, I guess the question is, where is Bitcoin going to trade next? Should we continue to break down? I know we've all kind of got 27, 28K earmarked as the first level to watch for a reaction. Maybe this is the type of event, though, where everybody gets caught off guard and it's a much deeper wick than we anticipated. I'm just open to all scenarios at this point because I do feel whenever you have kind of I wouldn't even call this systemic risk, guys, because it's not quite systemic risk. But whenever you have just what would you call it? Like ecosystem risk, maybe. I mean, it's not really a risk to me. I don't think stables are at risk. I don't know anybody who has loans on AAVE or Curve, but I do know as far as like the liquidity available within DeFi, it would create a lot of problems going forward. It's just like a very interesting development. So yeah, I mean, and just whenever you have these things happen, it's a little bit difficult for Bitcoin to immediately U-turn. But when we do get that puke, you're going to be looking for signs, not just that we have shed a lot of these longs off, but also that the FUD has dissipated. And so I'm going to continue to keep an eye on Curve, continue to keep an eye on DeFi. And we should probably talk about ETHUSD today as well, because I don't think we did that at all yesterday. And it's probably far more significantly impacted than something like Bitcoin. But I'm going to open up the floor to you guys here. Let's get right into the charts. I didn't even touch on equities. And I want to say we have Apple and Amazon earnings still to come later this week. So, I mean, there's plenty of opportunities for fireworks within equities. It's just, crypto can't seem to, crypto's kind of trading as its own market, not in a good way right now. Right. So I am going to go ahead and let's open the floor, guys. What are y'all seeing as far as, kind of this DeFi turmoil, the backdrop that we're seeing in equities this week, and any other thoughts? I really feel like we have so much to talk about. So I'm just going to open the floor, and whoever has, something extremely pertinent that you want to bring up, go for it.
So I agree with you, Tommy. This CRV founder who he basically just he borrowed too much money from his own protocol. I think it's reckless. He was almost hunted, a few months ago, and now here we are again. And it's like, what do you really expect? Like, clearly you were being a bit gluttonous. I think you were not putting your protocol and your project and the users of it who've trusted you first. So I don't care if he gets liquidated or not. Like, I don't care if he's being hunted or not. Like, I don't feel bad for him. He's got 2 mega mansions. He's going to be fine no matter what. But I mean, it's clear that he didn't put his project first. So if he gets hunted, and I think yesterday it was at like 32 cents, and now the liquidation's moving up. If he gets hunted, it's like, it is what it is. I don't really have any sympathy for multi-hundred millionaires or billionaires in crypto that, whine and complain that they're about to get, liquidated or somebody owes them money. I don't really have much sympathy. So what's that?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Finish your
yeah,
thought.
I was going to say, so, I mean, look, in my opinion, CRV is like it's like a soft toss short right now. Like, I've been hammering it all morning. I don't really care what the funding is because I think it's going to slide pretty quickly. So, we've seen this pattern play out before. If there was ever a chance for CRV to dive down 50%, it's going to happen here pretty soon. So, I mean, CRV, in my opinion, if you're a trader, like, this is as soft of a toss as you're going to get. Especially it bounced 25% off the lows. Funding, was materially cheaper than it was, yesterday. Like, it didn't completely reset. You're still gonna have to pay a lot in funding to short it, but you got rinsed. People that were bottom shorting it got completely rinsed. Major liquidations. Like, this is a soft toss right here, in my opinion. But yeah, in regards to Bitcoin, like, we were planning for this. We spent the last few shows, I mean, really all of last week, talking about, after we had that break of value from 29.5, that it was my opinion, at least, that we didn't have enough fuel to go up first. We needed to go down, set a bigger bear trap, and then we could turn this thing around and potentially talk about, Will's outlooks scenario of, like, 33 to 37 coming to fruition. But it just felt like there was no gas left in the tank, truthfully. I think that's the best way to describe it. So I think right now we're at the gas station. We're filling up right now. There's not a whole lot of shorts piling in here yet. Well, there are shorts, but not enough. I think one more flush down to like 28.2 to 27.9. I think you'd see funding on, the major exchanges probably just dip negative, and you'd see a lot of open interest probably get flushed out and start to climb back up, and it would mostly be shorts piling in, thinking we're going to 25K. then I think you have your opportunity on the next flush down on Bitcoin. I think you have the opportunity to create sort of a spring or a coil and send it back to 30K potentially. However, if we lose 30K, in my opinion, I'm sorry, if we lose 28K, in my opinion, I'm not talking about a wick. I'm talking like a daily or 12-hour close below 28. Then I become a little bit concerned that we probably go significantly deeper down to like 26. All right. 28K is your level. I'm planning to bid it unless I see something really spooky at the time. But I think we probably want to send this thing a little bit lower first. So, anyways, those are some thoughts for me. But yeah, anyways, looking forward to being here. Excited to see what happens with CRV. But yeah, I don't have any sympathy for him, man. He's crying in a $60 million mansion. What do I care?
What is the funding right now, Max, if you don't mind me asking? Like, if you were to just hold the position and if it went sideways, how long would it take for like a 10x position to be liquidated?
Yeah, let me check quick. I got it right here. So, which exchange? Are you just looking at all of them?
Yeah,
I
just
mean
in
it's
general.
expensive. So on OKX, it's 700% APY. That's the most expensive.
Of course.
Binance is 120% APY. DYDX is 282. Bybit 85%. Of course, Bybit's is the least negative of all of them, man. But yeah, I mean it's negative across the board. Like you're going to have to pay a lot in funding, and it is what it is. But if the key with this is that you would hope that it nukes quick enough where you don't really care what the funding is, because again, I gave the APY. So like if you held it for 1 week, on DYDX, it's going to be 5.5% in 1 week. So it's
That's
like,
it.
yeah. So it's like, do
That's
you
really
really
not that
plan on
bad.
holding it more than a week? I don't, it's a soft toss here. It's going to slide soon. Like we're going to have a resolution here in the next 3-4 days at the most. So
I think the interesting thing to me is that we're seeing a different dynamic within crypto than we saw last year, where somebody had a liquidation price that could potentially be hunted, and I don't know that there's the requisite ammo in terms of spot curve to nuke his liquidation right now. So it's basically just kind of perps trying to push their way down. Whereas last year, Alameda would have sold. I saw a tweet about it. They would have just sold customer funds and liquidated him.
true.
Yeah, that was kind of my point there too. Tommy is like it's hard to say that they're gonna just crush this to his liquidation. Um, and I'm very skeptical of that scenario happening, although it could happen, right? I've never been one to short lows versus short highs and look for zero. I mean, Luna I think was an easy layup.
But
all
Will, I
day.
want to just point out, dude, CRV jumped 25% off of the low.
Yeah, and
That's not shorting the low.
No, but that's the point, right? Is that jump in that zone? You can see it; it's happened before, right? And they continue to buy that area,
brother.
No, that's literally where they bought. Look,
Yeah, Tucker, that's
it broke
literally
the
it
area.
right there, man.
I know. I found it.
That's the
But-
soft
but-
toss.
But look at the bounce there that they had after. They ran it all the way back up. And
But
really,
he's on the
that could
daily
happen.
time frame. That took 2 weeks to play out, man. Tucker, you should go to like the 2 hour. You're not gonna be able to see all of it.
I would arguably say that the wick you got there is the same wick you're seeing on the left over there. I don't think you're at the high there.
Still take that for 30%, even if that same fractal plays out before they.
I mean, you're playing below price. You already played below price.
I think for
That's
me,
all I'm saying.
I think for me, this is one of those things where, like, if you're expecting a cataclysmic event, you're probably not really trading off the chart. In a certain sense, like I personally am not trading curve because I feel like there's a lot of externalities that could go against me. But I definitely see like the layup aspect of it too. If we continue to just bleed and they can't really figure out a solution for, I want to say some of the solutions they've come up with are pretty creative, but I don't know how long it's necessarily going to prolong liquidation. Maybe just make it slower. So I don't know that his liquidation price is going to be saved. I just don't know the timing of it.
Yeah, I would say too. Like, I do want to be clear. Like, I think what he did is completely jacked up. Like, You can't do anything more messed up than what this guy just did. Like it's so messed up to your holder. Like if I was a holder of CRV, I would dump immediately and just go to somewhere else and put my liquidity somewhere else. Like that is so ridiculous. And here's the thing too, and I think a lot of people don't consider this. I don't know what he's leveraging, but I would assume he's leveraging CRV, right? And you're the owner of CRV, so like, is this just credit? Is it actual liquidity that he's invested? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very difficult situation because technically, if this is what he is allocated for working, as kind of the leader of CRV, he may not have invested a penny. This could just be an investor's money. Essentially, it's his allocation in tokens, right? So it's an official source of credit that he's taken from holders and utilized to leverage his real life assets, right? It's very predatory. It's very disgusting, really, in a lot of ways.
It's so irresponsible, man. It's so irresponsible.
Like how could you not reinvest that? Like, at least give your holders something, maybe buy some ETH or buy some Bitcoin and utilize that as backing for your token. Like, why would you do something like that?
So what does he deserve, Will? What does he deserve?
You guys want the silver
he deserves zero,
he deserves,
in my opinion. But
I'll tell you what,
Hector Zeroni.
guys, if he gets liquidated in Australia, it's a taxable event. He would have no more curve, and he would be on the hook for the full like 60 million in loans that he took. Or the 300 million in curve that got liquidated. I'm not sure.
Do you think he moves?
One of
He
them.
just moved to Thailand or something.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You think he moves?
No, but all of his property is tied up in Australia, man. That's where all of his assets are. He's not liquid anymore. He's staying. He's got no choice.
That's the
He'll
problem.
sell one of the houses.
Mansions.
He'll sell one of the houses, pay off the tax, man, and keep the other one.
That's the
That's
issue.
it. That's
with
all you
buying
can do.
mansions, man. Yeah.
It's tough. What is the rest of DeFi looking like right now, Tucker? Let's take a look at SNX was kind of looking a little wobbly earlier. I'm curious what MKR looks like. I think that's probably less affected. AAVE, it's definitely one we're going to have to check on.
Yeah, let's
They're going to get hit really hard, man.
What else? SNX.
That's coming down to the 20s.
I mean, Aave looks the same way. Look, Aave and CRV, I bet you could overlay them. They look almost identical.
CRV has never performed very well to the upside. AAVE was the first token when I got into crypto that I heard about where I was thinking to myself, okay, I need to spend a lot of time here.
No, but the point that I'm pointing out, though, is like, I'm not even talking about upside potential. I'm more talking about chart pattern, right? They both have very similar chart patterns. It's like DeFi moves in waves, and a lot of people don't really notice that.
Comp doesn't care at all.
Some move stronger than others, but DeFi moves in waves.
What does FXS look like? Frax share. Ooh.
What a chart.
The DeFi chart on it looks even funnier because it ran up to that level first on the wrapped ETH pair.
Mark says Aave has a 330 mil bailout fund.
They do, and I was reading they might have to spend like 40 or 50 million of it to be able to like cover their bad debt. So it's a pretty big hit to their insurance fund. But
yeah,
I also think you could see a lot of these DeFi protocols sell off their assets, that aren't just like Curve and ETH. And I mean, a lot of these protocols have, holdings of Matic, Link. What else do they have? Optimism.
Link strength, baby.
Bancor, I'm sure. Like all these DeFi 1.0 things are just going to get smashed. Yeah. Sushi is probably another one. God, what is Sushi doing?
Yeah, I don't even want to know. And guys, before we keep talking about the DeFi turmoil, please just take one quick moment and like that video. It does wonders for our young channel. You guys always come through for us. Usually our goal is 20 likes on each video. Right now we're sitting at 11. We got 28 people watching live. Thank you guys so much for supporting us here on a Tuesday, and a very bloody one at that. But yeah, if you could just take one moment real quick and smash that thumbs up for us, would be amazing. So thanks, guys.
That's the most cursed chart in all of crypto, man.
Didn't it top at $3 last cycle?
It topped at
to
20,
like 20
24.
something.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I was thinking of ADA. Sorry, I don't know why. Yeah, that's unbelievable,
What are you
man.
at right now? 87 cents.
67.
Oh, that's a good return. Or it's a good ROI.
I
Even
think
if you
the
recapture
emissions
half
will
of
bring
it.
to zero, man.
Huh?
It's-
The emissions will bring it to zero over time. It's like the tokenomics of it are horribly designed.
Well, you have to consider too a lot of this stuff. Like it was a direct result of FOMO and too much liquidity, too much froth, right? So you had basically dexes building dexes, building dexes, building dexes, and then dexes building on dexes, right? And it was like, dude, like there was so many copy paste dexes, it's not even funny. And most of these, yeah, they will go to zero. I think so too.
Yeah.
It's honestly ridiculous.
Somebody made a joke to me that there are more like dexes and perp dexes than there are perp dex traders.
It's funny.
Probably true.
It's actually hilarious. You know what would be nice, like, and this is something that Dex Tools I think has done really well. Is they've offered limit buy, limit sell, and stuff like that. And Dexes should really look into that if they really want to be that
You've heard about
the
Unibot,
next
right?
protocol. Yeah, I've heard about you. I'm just saying, like, a lot of them don't implement that while they could, right? And that's really the issue here is like Dexes have the ability to do so, but they don't like doing it because it keeps them from being able to make profit on the price action movement, right?
My experience with limit orders on chain has not been very positive. I only sometimes get filled, and the wicks, there's not really the liquidity that there is on exchanges for a lot of these assets, so you're not going to get filled. I do like Unibot for that reason, though. I was dabbling with it last week. You can set limit orders through it. I'm not going to show the product, yada yada yada, but it's definitely it. If I didn't have to give a private key to use it, I would be extremely bullish on it.
Yeah, there's another one too called KRY or Krill or something like that, KRYL, but very similar situation when it comes to being able to set limit orders, limit buys, and snipe price and everything else. It's like a botting service through crypto or whatever, right? So it's all vetted stuff. Obviously.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's pull up XRP, see what's moving here. Yeah, I wonder if it backfills that the pump candle, man.
I think your best bet is to come down to that first candle. I think that's your best bet, right? Like and to go lower than that, you're above support at that point. Even if you go left. So yeah, right in there. Yep. Because if you scroll out more, you'll see kind of your price areas in line. Like if you were to take that line straight across, yep, there you go.
Yeah.
You're above right there, right?
Yeah.
You've broken above all supports / resistances in that zone.
Yeah. Probably.
That would be where I'd be looking for a resting price and maybe a bid zone. So probably like 50 cents. What is that? 60 cents? 59, something like that.
Yeah, 60 about.
Yeah. That's where I would think price would retest.
What were we looking at the other day that we were saying we could be right here? Right? The ramp. And then go. Get everybody bullish right here.
I don't know, because then you have to revisit that lower portion that's been accumulating the entire year. I would think that if you go back into that accumulation zone, you're going to get wrecked.
Do like that. 36 cents.
XRP has traded like cancer ever since I've known it. So
Yeah.
The move on XRP to the upside was very predatory. That's no upside. I didn't make a job.
I want to speculate on some Bitcoin levels, guys, because I think when Bitcoin stops, whatever this little bleed is.
Oh yeah. What do you think about that?
if it were going to be a PO3, I would have wanted a reaction already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Still hanging below, almost like sitting at the low, is not a great sign to me.
Tucker,
I'm more in the-
another. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you
I was
off.
gonna say, Tucker, I'm more in the camp of like it's not gonna be like a textbook PO3. It's still gonna form the manipulation or like the bear trap, but it's not gonna be a quick reaction. It's gonna be like that, like the previous move that we had before 31K. So that was the USDC FUD one. I recognize that fractal. But the one that I'm thinking it's probably most comparable to would be the previous one. What were the dates on it? Like the bleed we had from mid-April down to mid-June, where it wasn't a PO3, but it still set a major bear trap, right? Like people were shorting that all the way down to support, and then they got squeezed. I don't think we're going to have that explosive expansion like PO3 normally does. I think it's just going to be like chop, bleed, every move up, short, bids coming in, whack them, all the way down.
Doesn't think so.
No, Max. Please don't do that. Please no.
Where would we be in this then?
I don't think it's going to look like that, and I don't think it's going to look like the first one. I think it's going to be a more short-lived version of what we previously had on the one just to the left of your clicker.
You just think we're just going to kind of...
Yeah, but I think it could play out this week. Like, I think we could get a resolution this week, truthfully. But yeah, I mean, I think we probably bleed down to, sub 28K, just like we've been talking about, or wherever like the necessary bear trap is. It's just not here. I'm just not seeing, I'm not seeing funding flipping negative. I'm not seeing people piling in at the lows. I probably want to see Binance get 20, 30 million in liquidations if we go down somewhere. A major drop in OI, and I'd like funding to at least at a minimum reset, if not go slightly negative. And then I think I think the trap is set. And then I think we can talk about a bounce or potentially going to a new high. But this is just not the trap right here. This is the start of it.
If what we're seeing right now is not enough to generate meaningful volatility in crypto, that's concerning.
Here's something that I would look at entertaining. Can you scroll out real quick, Tucker? Like really far out?
How far out?
Once you think you're far out, double it.
right there. You see your middle blue line right there?
Yeah.
I think that's as deep as you can go. Right?
What, 25K?
Without risking trend reversal. Right?
Well, yeah.
So
sure.
that's as deep as you can go without risking trend reversal. And for those in the audience who don't understand trend reversal, it basically means once you get below a certain level, your trend has now switched the other direction. So directionality right now is up. So if you get below that blue line right there, that middle blue line, you're more than likely your directionality now is turned down, right? So your trend's going to start moving to the downside. You're going to get more volatility. Volatile moves are amazing for traders, and you're going to start eating your way to your levels to the downside, and that's where you got to start looking for bounces.
Well, yeah, I think about this like Bollinger Bands, honestly. Like if you're in the lower bound, you're just going to do this. If you're in the upper bound, you're just going to do this. You know what I mean? When you switch between the two, that's the move you want to catch. But
that's the big move. That's where you can get real liquidity for shorts, real liquidity for longs.
Yeah, so that's just the midline basically, but I mean that's your range, really. Like that's your range.
That's your range, yeah. And directionality too. Like if you break that midline, arguably you could break the low, right? At that point, once you start getting below that positioning, so it's kind of a dangerous.
I think we'll put in a really solid like double bottom off of 25K if we go back down there. Like I think that blue line there is going to lead for another big bounce. Even if it's only to 29K, that's still a 4K move on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll see where it ends up. But yeah.
I like that. We already kind of did that. Little symmetry. So, I mean, can you imagine if we just we literally just did this and then we just walked it back down?
Dude, that was love symmetry, man. Double tops, double bottoms. Like it happens across asset classes all the time.
Walk it up, walk it back.
People have completely ruled that out under the premise of like, well, why would that happen? What would take us down there? I hate the argument of, well, FTX couldn't take us, to 13K. What's going to take us to 13K now? Dude, anything will take us there, man. It's Bitcoin. Like there's infinite coins to sell on perps. Like, it's just a trader's market. If conditions don't dictate a pump and traders deem it fit to send it lower, they'll send it lower. Like, you don't need necessarily a black swan to take us down there. Okay.
Yeah.
I hate that argument. Well, FTX didn't take us down there. Like, it's just exhausted, man.
I know, so do I. And the easy answer too is just like a massive global recession. Like what? Like, of course.
Yeah. Literally. I don't know. Bitcoin's been stalling out here while equities are damn near all-time highs. What if equities roll over? Boom, catalyst. Like, dude, price moves first, and then you attach a catalyst or narrative to it.
Price moves first, and that's the biggest thing your average normie retailer doesn't get is price always moves ahead of news, right?
Yeah.
You get the price, then you get the news. That's just how it works. And this is kind of, indicative to kind of what we spoke about last week, where like I was in the camp of up before down, but I was also in the camp of reality, which was where I said, hey, if we're going to see downside, we're going to get a retest. That retest will show failure, and then we'll go down. And that's precisely what happened in reality. We ran right back up to the 29.6, like I said, retapped the low, and then stayed below resistance, right? And then once we stayed below resistance on the weekly, we validated that we were going to go down because we got the close below resistance. Could you put it on the weekly real quick, Tucker, to kind of show that, just so people can kind of see where that happened?
I mean,
There's your weekly close right there below resistance.
This is literally just liquidity. It's all liquidity. It's all it is. Like, liquidity.
Dude, global liquidity is leading. I had a tweet about this. Like, global net liquidity is leading Bitcoin, and it has been all year. Like, it's not even really a divergence. It's just a leading indicator for Bitcoin as a proxy, not equities necessarily.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I would point out too is volatility up here has been very, we'll say, more or less not there, right? If you look at volatility as a whole, because if you look at the candle sizes, like there's no price action between sellers and buyers. There's no interest to do either right here. Which is really interesting when you look at it from a bigger standpoint, because it's like, okay, if nobody wants to sell, nobody wants to buy, what do we do here? Do we just slowly bleed down, or do we actually start puking at a certain point? Does the market react in a way that is not indicative of more upside?
I think if the market, the context of where we are is the most important answer to your question. So if we are 100% off of the most recent high time frame low, and the market's at a stalemate where people are not buying or selling, you have to imagine that we're going to pull back, in my opinion. If the market is refusing to transact 100% off of the most recent low, and that, I mean, to me, that signals no buying. All right. So I don't think we're there necessarily, but it's like, I think that's.
Well, kind of to what you were saying too, Max. It also matters more of where you're at. Are you at the top end of an uptrend, or are you at the bottom end of a downtrend? Right.
Yeah.
If you're at the bottom end of a downtrend, expect up. If you're at the top end of an uptrend, expect down. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to kind of play it as it is.
What in the hell is this candle that's happening right now?
That's you getting liquidated. That's what's going on.
Take it way up here, brother, to come get me.
That's just short covering. That's all.
That's what I was saying. You're going to get short covered, even at CRV, man. Like, they're going to bounce that up.
Right here yesterday, boys. Right here.
That's a pretty nasty wick, man. I'm just saying. That's a pretty nasty
candle. We got 13 minutes left on the candle. We're going to be all right. Let's
He's like, let's not focus on that.
It's always comfortable. It's so comfy, man. Being in a like, if you are experiencing kind of like some of this, whenever there's crypto turbulence, we'll call it that. Just being hedged is so comfy, man.
Yeah.
Like, when you get the hedge right, you don't have to stress about days like today. It's perfect. But when you don't, then you're definitely panicking. And you can just get fed on by, like you said, Will, these short covering bounces, because you feel the necessity to chase hedges into support. And I mean, it's a little bit tougher to get positioned short on a breakdown than it is at range highs.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've been kind of moving into, is like, as much as I know, like, Max and Tucker may be on the right side of some of these moves that they're in. is just a matter of, is now the time to be entering on those same moves for me, right? And I just don't think it is right now. I think that there could be later times that I can get better entries to where I don't have to sit there and watch it every couple hours to make sure that I'm not getting pressured on my positioning of my entry.
Starting
It's
to
just
see
all
some,
about how you're looking at it.
starting to see some demand though on Bitcoin as we're getting deeper. I don't know if
I
it's
know
curve,
we just tapped 28.5. So
that was the level we talked about last week. We'll look at OI.
see if they flushed it. What's funding doing?
The one thing they need to do here is, again, they need to make a decision. They need to either get above 29.5 and hold, or they need to go down and touch 28, right? One of those liquidity zones have to be violated to really know directionality at this point. And really, I mean, even your guys' theory of going below 28, it makes sense to a deviation, right? You get a deviation into a recapture price, and then you're good to go from there. So it's all dependent on what the market, is.
Funding's positive across the board, right?
Yeah, we really did not shed that much delta.
No, nothing happened there, dude. That was nothing, man. We're just gonna get these altcoin like sharp covering bounces, and then they're gonna get sold off again. Like, you'll know when the flush comes, man. You'll see all the funding go neutral. You'll see millions get wiped across the board. Like, it hasn't happened yet. It just hasn't.
We're joined by a special guest.
Yeah, you guys need to erase all bearish thoughts from your mind. What's going on here, fellas?
Is that Air Mass? What's
Let's
up,
get
Air Mass?
serious now, man. Come on.
Who's talking bearish?
I mean, come on. Curve might just disappear. I mean, what better narrative to bid? What's going on here, man?
I don't see what's so scary about this to bid though, Wabi. There's nothing like scary to me about curve going to 10 cents.
I mean, even to zero, there's nothing scary about it going to zero either.
Didn't GCR put in some bids?
Yeah, man. He's got bids under 10 cents. There's liquidity there. It's all good.
Yeah. So I think this is a pretty exciting time, man. I think we've got one last push, at least for what I'm holding. I don't care what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin can crab in the same $500 range for months. But what's going on here? Will, what have you got for me, brother?
I mean, I'm still, in the same camp above 28K, still good. I think 28's a bounce. 29.5 is what I'd like to see recaptured, but I mean, it looks like they want to go for the lower before higher, but that's fine. I think you start getting below 28K, that's where I start turning a little bit bearish for downtrend, but I'm not bearish on the market. I'm just, looking for more downside at that point. We talked about it this morning. You get below 25K, I could become a full-blown bear in that area of liquidity if it's not a deviation.
Will, what else are you looking at, brother? I understand Bitcoin the same, 300, 400.
Well, I look at Bitcoin as liquidity as the whole market, right? So, again, I'm going to go into something that you don't necessarily agree with, but that's obviously ARB. I think ARB has a bright future, and when you look at TVL, that's a big thing for me, right? ARB. Not ARB. I think when you look at TVL, ARB looks really good from a TVL standpoint. I really like the TVL and ARB.
You know what's crazy? Curve had a lot of TVL for a really long time, and it could never catch a strong bid.
But so does Aave. Aave had significantly more TVL, right? But when you look at layer one,
Aave ran from 10 cents to $600.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was big.
Aave was known as ETHland, brother. it was an ICO that went down like 95%.
Yeah.
In 2018.
I'm looking at that lower area there, probably on like $1, really, on ARB recapture of that zone. That's been a strong bid area, right? $1 has been a really strong bid for ARB. So it's something I'm continuing to watch, but I'm heavily into gaming, right? Like that's my biggest one. One that not necessarily everybody on the panel agrees with because they don't like Polygon, but Nakamoto Games is big for me. I think that one will do significantly well. It's had a really good uptrend. Not a shill, just like legitimately done very well, as well as quite a few other ones.
You're trading something other than Bitcoin? I'm impossible, brother. Impossible.
Hey, I trade mostly other than Bitcoin, but
Oh no, man. Oh gosh.
Oh no.
Get ready for the laser eyes, bro. You're gonna have the Bitcoin maxi threaders come after you, man. They're gonna write a giant thread saying, "Do you know Will's outlook for because Bitcoin?" Well, guess what? He's been trading this token, and it's gone up 15x, and here's the reason why.
Well, I mean, when you
trading
had that
shit
one
coins,
little
telling people to
comment-
buy shit coins.
I find that so crazy, bro. Like now is when everyone wants to talk about base when like the first official like rugs happen. But I don't think base is going anywhere, man, to be honest.
Bobby, remember when we had that space with all the Bitcoin maxis and you like said one thing that wasn't perfectly on script for the Bitcoin narrative and they all just jumped on you at the same time and you're like, whoa, 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 guys, don't attack me with your laser eyes.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like I don't understand how like buying Bitcoin in 2020 made everyone a macro expert, man. That is always the wildest thing to me. But what are we looking at? Well, what do we got for me, brother?
All right, so GameFi is another one. Altura, I think. Look, I'm telling you guys, look, not a show. Do not fade Altura, guys.
What is Altura's ticker?
Do not fade Altura. Web3 gaming.
Web3, my favorite.
Big.
Will, why are you shoving it down my throat, man? You're shilling.
I'm telling you, man. Look, I'm telling you. No, but look, arguably, hold on, Tucker. Yeah. Arguably, if you were to take a trend line across the low of that looks just like Nakamoto, looks just like all of them. That liquidity is slowly building, right? You are getting higher lows. It is slowly building up. These are actually healthy looking charts. No. Zoom that back out the way you had it. Zoom back out the way you had it.
If you start the chart from the actual bottom and take it as a fresh chart, it's a lot better, I think.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. These charts got annihilated due to the bear market, man. Like they are starting to build liquidity again.
Like that actually looks like how INJ has looked like year to date. Like that entire chart that you just painted looks exactly like INJ has year to date. I think INJ is going to do absolutely phenomenal for the next cycle, but we'll leave that conversation for another stream.
I'm not saying that these things look fantastic due to the downtrend. I'm looking at where they've landed and what they're doing now, right? They got strong uptrends. If you were to put these, take these off log and look at them from an off log standpoint, like these things actually don't look bad. Well, yeah, but zoom out and like flatten it out more like that, right? So now you've got like a strong sideways price action accumulation, right? After you hit a low. And now you're kind of building off of that to the upside. Does that make sense?
You know what I think gaming needs, man? Gaming needs memes. Just how DeFi had memes with Danny Sesta and the Degen box, and it had the fun and great vibes and everything. Like, you can have the greatest fundamentals, the greatest tokenomics, but if you don't have any memes, if you don't have a figurehead, then I don't think it's really going to go anywhere. And I think for gaming, I think the two biggest things that occurred in 2021 that really caused that spike was number one, Doge and Shiba. Those went absolutely phenomenal. I remember like doubling down on my Mana stock after like GameStop pumped for like almost $500 in late January, and then
GameStop is the meme for gaming.
Yeah. And then Mana.
That's why Alluvium and GameStop's going to be big.
Yeah, and then like Mana eventually, went on to break its all-time high. But then I remember Alex Becker, he's a pretty big YouTuber. He started going pretty deep into like covering gaming and crypto. And then I remember that summer, like when people started to know about Bored Apes and all that stuff, Yuga Labs, that started going pretty crazy. And Alex Becker and Elio Trades were covering that sector of the crypto space pretty heavily, man. And I think given that gaming is so big on like streaming sites, I think crypto YouTube might come back for like a 2017 type of hoorah, right? Because I feel like the last cycle was so dominated by Twitter, man, especially when it came to like DeFi. I think YouTube is going to take a bit of that market share back, man, to be honest.
I think a lot of people forget how much money gaming actually generates, especially through like when you're talking about skins and so on and so forth. Like you hear all the time, like somebody bought a skin on CS:GO, $40,000, $20,000, and just stupid stuff like that, right? And really the reality is that they're willing to spend that um outside of crypto, for instance, right? When you're looking at things like NFTs, things that you could recapitalize on because you bought them and resold them. That's actually more profitable when it comes to that standpoint of the buy to win model, especially when you look at things like I think it was Blizzard came out with Diablo, one of the Diablo games, right? And they actually did the math on it. It was $100,000 to max out your account, and people were doing it across the board. Like there were just tons of whales spending that kind of money.
So apparently, like Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to have some crypto feature where players are going to be able to earn some crypto within the game. I'm pretty sure that's like an online aspect, and I think if that happens, and I believe it releases next year, that's going to be a massive narrative. Because, bro, if I'm honest, man, I don't think this whole like, oh my gosh, BlackRock's going to buy Bitcoin is going to be so appealing to normies, bro. Normies need something that they're already interacting with to be introduced to crypto, right? In 2020 and 2021, it was the GameStop fiasco, right? And I think that craze introduced a lot of people to crypto. And I think for the next cycle, it's probably going to be the same thing. You're probably going to have some like entertainment narrative, not necessarily gaming, but entertainment as a whole. And that's going to attract people to this industry because it's the largest online casino ever known to man. It's open 24/7. And, like it's been said on Twitter, nobody wants to catch a flight anymore to Vegas and purchase room and board or any of that stuff and spend a couple $1,000s when they can just log into Uniswap. You know what I'm saying? And gamble some shit coins or gamble on a narrative. And this market is the attention economy, and I think that's why you've been seeing certain sectors in the crypto market continue to outperform Bitcoin, right? Like, even though it's largely believed that, oh, Bitcoin outperforms everything during certain time periods, right? That used to be true, right? But over the last 2 years, right, we've seen that, despite sometimes Bitcoin dominance breaking out or whatever, you still have certain sectors outperforming Bitcoin, and I think that largely has to do with DeFi. If I'm being quite honest, and I don't think people really realized how deep DeFi would get, because you would think after that first peak in March, April of 21, that whole narrative would be dead. But sometimes narratives end up surviving, and I think gaming is going to be one of them, dude. If I'm being honest, man, even though it didn't really have a chance to really shine, we had Illuvium. we had Illuvium for a short period.
Well,
It wasn't even live, by the way. It wasn't even live when it hit its all-time high, and I think what was that one game? Vulcan Forged. Vulcan Forged was like one of the only, yeah. Like Vulcan Forged was one of the only games that I remember being live, and then we had like these Final Fantasy 1 type of interactions with DeFi Kingdoms, but there wasn't really any action. It was just like little characters walking around and just being there, kind of like a placeholder. Wasn't really any action or anything, but I think that's going to come back with a vengeance, and people are going to be stuck trading majors because of bear market PTSD, right? Because of this like weird range. It feels like Bitcoin's acting like the Dow Jones, man. and people are forced to take 10 to 15x leverage, and yeah, that's the end of my rant, brother.
You know what that means, Wabi? It means we're due for volatility expansion on Bitcoin. Because literally everybody is lured into a state of complete complacency as far as what Bitcoin is capable of. And that's
100%.
true not just of downside, but upside as well. Everybody is in high beta shit coins and on-chain stuff that's probably going to be left in the dust if Bitcoin is going to, chat higher here.
Tommy, see this?
The shorter cycle still in the room with us. I mean, what? We're down like 500 points this morning. Shorter side. I mean, it's too early to tell, guys, but it really depends on what equities do. I'm going to be honest. Like, if equities don't turbo nuke their bullish structure from here, and this is not a double top, then it probably will be a shorter cycle. That's my opinion.
We'll see. We'll see. We won't know until we know. When will we know? The next bear market.
I don't know, man. I'm thinking something like this.
Look, here's the thing.
What?
Everybody who knows me,
man?
Right?
That's the
Bobby.
Wabi, that's called reality.
Yeah.
Reality.
There you go.
No.
Draw the arrow for the third range.
It'll take a little while to play out, but it's called reality.
Oh, here you go. There. Obviously.
Now do the
That's all it is. It's a little dip in the bigger move.
Wait.
All right.
Wait.
Don't worry, he's got
That's
it.
all it is. Oh, here we go. Nah, there ain't gonna be one of those.
I need more room.
Nah, there you go.
And then we just go up. But that's
a 10-year sideways cycle. No way.
There you go.
We were talking about this yesterday, right after you hopped off the call, Will.
Dude, that would be so vicious. I don't even want that, man. No.
I don't even want to
entertain too much pain, man. That's one more down, maybe, but dude, 2 downs. Oh,
2 downs.
You're a menace.
One more down,
that's
it, man. One more down, that's it. One more down. 2 is out of it's off the table.
So basically, like 2019 to 2020.
No, like 1965 to 1970.
Well, that I think that's propaganda, man. Like,
you can't say that, Wabi.
Hang on, let him talk. Let him talk. Let him cook. Let him cook. Let him cook.
Look, man. I don't even trade equities, and I remember at the lows in December, I remember having a discussion, and this was like, while SBF was in spaces and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, and I was talking to Bitcoin maxis because I really wanted to know who to fade. And those are like the people that are always number one when it comes to, what affirmative action to take when there's a massive move in crypto to the downside, right? And I was asking them, like, don't you think this market moves a lot different now that people can react on warp speed? We have all these apps. We have Robinhood, Webull, all these apps where it's just simple buy and sell, just like that, right? You don't need to call brokerage. You don't need to go through all these long processes that you were able to go through in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, right? E-Trade, I believe, came out in the late 90s, right? And so we're in this environment as well where so much money has been created throughout the pandemic. Like, you'd be stupid to not think that there were many people that actually did preserve their wealth, that actually did manage to escape. And until I start seeing a slowdown where I'm at, it's a very high functioning environment. I think we're still in this massive buy the dip environment, man. And I think last year was an anomaly, bro. We had 2 major Forex crises, man. We had the sterling go to kingdom come after the queen passed away, man. We had the DXY basically crush nations. Last year in the summer, people struggled to go to work because of how high gas prices were, man. And although I am of the belief that we are in the 2019 to 2020 cycle, right, where equities do break all-time high and then eventually go on to retest the lows. I just don't think we're going to be in this stagnated period, man, where we're in such a high warp speed environment that I honestly believe that with the freshest whiff of a narrative, as we saw with AI, it'll just catapult us to the next level. This is Project Zimbabwe, man, and
Dude, I do agree with you. I do agree with you, Bobby. I think I'm leaning a little bit more like bearish. Like I could see another like really nasty drop or correction. I think we're just in a period of really elevated volatility both ways. And the move off of the low is a testament to that. That was dude, like that was a hell of a recovery we've had so far. But I don't think that it's going to be like up only from here and you can just like bid away on 2x like Airmass was talking about yesterday in the space and get away with it at these levels.
Yeah.
Because of the volatility. So even if we don't go on to make a new low, I think you're going to see so much volatility both ways that we could go on to make a new high. Maybe we make a new low, maybe we don't, but I still think that this is an environment where you have to be a little bit careful. But I don't see like a decade of whatever this is that Tucker drew. I mean, it's fun to think about, right? Like that would be absolutely insane, but I think that's relatively unlikely in my opinion.
Is it fun to think about? Is it fun to think about, man?
I mean, as somebody who doesn't have long-term equity bags, yeah, it's fun to think about because it's a lot of volatility. But no, because that would imply a lot of economic turmoil and a lot of pain for a lot of people.
I want to cook against Robin's cook, right?
Chef Will. By the way, Will's actually like a really good chef, man. We cook on the charts, but this man actually cooks in real life.
But here's the thing, all right? Look,
y'all forgot to give credit to my rice because y'all boys ate that rice up, man. You guys ate that rice up, man. So
it's delicious.
I want to throw it out there though. Here's the thing, Bobby, and this is what I think a lot of people are really offsides on. I think a lot of people just think 2020 and 2021 are just going to happen over and over and over again. That's not how markets work. Markets get a blow off top. I think 2021 was that blow off top. Then they get a cool down period. That cool down period is people that took the liquidity from the market are not going to give it back, which means they're not going to re-enter and give it back to you. They're going to take that liquidity. They're going to allocate it elsewhere, probably, in a different, sectors and so on and so forth. And we're going to sit here and we're going to trend for a little bit. And that trending is basically just the rebalancing of liquidity. We're not going to sit here and get 2021 over and over and over again. An expansionary period like 2021 is something you might see once in a lifetime, maybe 2 or 3 times in a lifetime, right? But it's not going to happen every 2-3 years. And I think that's the misnomer that a lot of investors have, is that it's just going to continue to keep happening over and over and over again. And I'm saying this because everybody always talks technology up, right? They always talk, well, technology. Yes, technology makes things easier to read, but patterns have always been a thing, regardless of technology and evolution. And these same patterns tend to play out over and over and over again, right? So I just want to throw that out there, just as kind of like a little bit of an opposition to, and I know some of that too. Also, is thoughts from Airmass and stuff like that. And while he may be an older gentleman who may have been in the market for a while, I'm not in the boat that these patterns are just going to change because of technology. It's not been a thing. Technology has been a thing since 2000. I'm an 80s baby. I've been around since the inception of technology. So like if you talk to anybody out there, there's nobody who's seen a bigger boom in technology than the 80s to now. Not a single generation. So, as far as my thoughts, like I think these patterns continue to play. I think that right there, Tucker, ideally is what I would be looking for, right? That's exactly what I'd be looking for, something very similar to that.
I like this better than the 70s example. Like we just maybe set a lower low after we sweep the high, then we just go to Valhalla. Like that, this is just return to QE, J Pow just slams the green button.
And that rebalances the market too.
Yeah.
Right. It allows a cool down period before another expansionary period.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man. Oh man. Come on.
I think we're closer to 2000 to 2009, 2010 than we are to, any other year out there. I really do. I think here to 2030, and then 2030 is just a boom, like an
I could
explosive
see
market.
that. I could see that scenario, Tucker, as far more probable than the one with like a third drive up and down.
Yeah. That's gonna be fun though. I think that happens.
We could get a major correction before. Like that might not happen till like Q1 of next year or something like that.
I know, that is Q. That's April, March of next year.
Okay.
The timing is beautiful. And then we bottom in September, and then we go straight up. I like it.
Evan Casey says, I have my whole net worth in XRP.
Wow, that's conviction, man.
Jeez, they
You know, have we covered Ox yet, man?
I think, Wabi, I'm gonna tell you, I'm just gonna be real. I think Ox is one of your better picks, bro. I know a lot of people are shitting on it, but like, I think it has a lot of potential, man. A lot of potential.
I don't know who's shitting on it, man.
Yeah.
Look at that. Hard to shit on that
just
chart.
people on CT Twitter, like because they got butt hurt, yada yada.
Yeah, people that missed the bag, man. Wabi called this thing out at 2 cents or less. It's like people that missed the bag get a little pissed.
Penny and a half.
I caught the rebound at 2.5. Remember that? Because I was shitting on it till
then you saw the light, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, if it comes back to here, I'll buy. And as soon as it came back, I was in.
Yeah, but see, Will, if you've been buying down here like the rest of the
I'm okay where I buy.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy?
Okay,
you know what's crazy about that chart, man? When we had that dip on June 10th, right? Ox went down to a penny and a half, and the chart does not reflect that. I'm not sure why, but I remember it so clearly. It went to a penny and a half. And I think with some of these tokens that are just released, they have these extreme moves that like the chart itself isn't able to catch it for whatever reason. But I vaguely remember it went to a penny and a half, just over a penny and a half during that dip. And here we are, man. Here we are. But yeah, man, those wicks, man.
I know.
You gotta
Just a little healthy sell pressure. Nothing to worry about, man. Those will backfill.
Look, this is how we have to view the chart, like this.
You gotta pull up Luna second half of 2021. That's what I'd like to see, man.
This is how you got to view the Ox chart, man. Because it's going to do this and then probably that. I don't know.
Man. I hope not.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well,
look,
I think it's probably gonna. And I said this in the Discord call yesterday afternoon. I think it might behave like Lunk. So if you guys can pull up a Lunk chart and then go from June of 2022 all the way to all the way to early September of 22, and you compare the two, I think that's like something good. So just go all the way to June. Yeah, you'd probably have to go to a daily chart and not a weekly chart, right? Yeah, and then just go to June, go to like early to mid June of 2022, and then stop the chart in early September. Like just paint that. You just like zoom in, right? Zoom in. I can't really see that much, but if you zoom into something like that, but
September's over here.
Yeah. So, are you in early June?
Yeah, June's right here.
Yeah.
September is over here.
Yeah. So that parabola, that's pretty much what I'm looking for. Second half of August.
But you think we get this and then we get this?
I think we're forming that first part, man.
Yeah.
To be honest, like we need to bust through 5 cents with gusto, man. Like I think we're having this weird price action of like oh, just a little bit above all time high and then a retrace, kind of like how Bitcoin was doing in the second half of 21, where like it kept on going above 60K and then just dipping down, and then we finally had that push above the all time high, and it was like barely 10%, right? So I think I think like if we compare how the communities are between Ox and Lunk, right, it's pretty much the same people, and I think we might reflect that same sort of price action, man. You know, so I think one more break above the all-time high, and then
I think something
probably just like probably back to this range. If I'm being honest, man, this range is now acting like 3 cents was, if you guys remember that. Like 2 years ago, I kept on retracing back to 3 cents, kept on retracing back to 3 cents, and yeah, I think we might see something like that, and yeah, that last push is going to be beautiful, man, I think.
Yeah, that would line up with what, October, about 19 cents.
I think it'd come a lot faster. I think it'd probably come within a month, man. To be frank, because like the market cap for Lunk went to 2 billion. It went from 100 million to 2 billion in that summer, and Ox is still at like, what is it, like 160, 150 circ.
Yeah.
So, but then you also have to account for like the dilution of Flex converted to Ox.
Yeah.
So
that would be September, the peak.
Yeah, usually like the alts that have that like beta chasing typically peak out like late August, early September. It happened last year with Lunk and Atom and Kujira. And then the year before that, we had tokens like Cardano. And then Luna had put in most of its wild move around that time. It went from $5 to almost $50, and that is a way crazier move than going from $40 to $100. So Luna had its meat of its move around that time period in 2021, right? Second half, right? It went from $5 in July all the way to $50. Basically, did a 10x, and same thing with Solana as well. Sol went from $17 to like 120, right, in that time period from July to early September, right? So we usually have like one last push around that time frame before like everything gets sent to Kingdom Come. You know what I'm saying? And same thing with DeFi Summer, dude. We had that last push about a week or two before the Uniswap airdrop, and that's it. I think Sushi Swap had that vampire attack, and yeah. Did you guys talk about base already? By the way,
No.
yeah. So yeah. Wow, that's crazy. And we had someone comment that, but yeah. Apparently, like I think one of the Solana like DeFi protocols had changed their name, and they started talking about Bald, and then like the liquidity was pulled from Bald, and then like one of the wallets connected to Alameda started putting in liquidity back in, and it ran up like 10x off of the low, and I believe you're able to bridge out of base through Arbitrum, so I'm gonna like try to do that, to be honest, because I don't think anything is gonna happen in the immediate short term on base. unless something pops up in the next like couple of hours. But yeah, and I find it so funny how like now there's all this FUD around Coinbase again, and Ryan had nothing to do with it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Anyone could deploy on any of these chains, man. It's permissionless, right? But I think Base is probably going to stick around, and I think for the next cycle, a lot of people are going to be degenning in it, um, given like how strong the social capital is around this. And I mean, of course, the reason why there's no Base token is because it's pretty much a fork of Optimism, and then at that point, Coinbase would actually run into securities laws and all that stuff if they actually release the token while they have a stock, right? But I think it was fun overall, man. Toshi was fun, Bald was fun, Moonbase was fun. And what's crazy is that I remember it was like 4 a.m. my time, literally like 4 hours before everything just went to crap. Um, I had a dev reach out to me from a certain project, and he was asking me like how to bridge to base, and it's like, oh man, yeah, I see you've been killing it on base. I wanna go and like and go on the trenches with you. And he ended up like he ended up buying the start of a downtrend on Moonbase, and that's when I was like in the Discord. I was like, yeah, guys, I'm out. I think this thing is a rug. And when you have devs reach out to you about how to get into something, that's probably like a top, man. To be frank, it's probably a top when you have a dev reach out to you and ask, hey, how do I degen into this? It's probably a top, 100% a top.
Yeah, most likely.
What do you see in here, Tucker, on Bitcoin? We're getting a nice little squeeze here off the low.
We're squeezing hard. Look at that wick, man. Matic is fucking squeezing too.
Man, I would have really hoped we could have gone deeper than 28.
It's either gonna.
I
It's
think
either
that was the summer of 2021 low, wasn't it? Like 28.5, 28.6. That's probably going to be some strong support, man.
We had a gap there. I was expecting a strong reaction off of. I'm kind of expecting it to reject here, or it's not going to reject to like 29.6, but I'm not quite sold on the low being in. We could come back there and trade back below today's price. But we could still kind of lock in a bull div, which would, be good for my bags if that's what we're going to do. But
yeah,
I'm not certain that the squeeze is done, just because I was kind of underwhelmed with the long delta that we shed off the board. I mean, it was only like 15.
Yeah. I know. I was going to say the same thing, man. It's like this is definitely like a nice little squeeze, but I just feel like we could have done more, like I feel like we could have run this thing lower and like really flush some longs and then run it back even more. So that's kind of leading me to agree with you that we'll probably come back and test the lows again, just because there's unfinished business there.
We need to.
I want to ask you guys a question. I want to start off with Tommy, because he's like right above me. Tommy, what's your favorite altcoin, man, for the next cycle? It's out right now.
DMT.
Like, if you had to put DMT
Green
on the
Machine
chart,
token, man.
Put it up on the charts. DMT.
That's my bag.
Let's start from the beginning and zoom out. So, all right, Tommy. So, what does this token do, brother? Like, what's the narrative, at least, around it? What's the narrative?
I mean, it does a lot of things, right? It's a metaverse token at its core. Kind of built around games that people actually want to play, and not just like predatory token emissions. The token is actually used for the game, so it's deflationary rather than inflationary. But on like Sanko was a vintage gaming company that my friend and a few of his buddies bought last year. And they're turning it into this really cool metaverse project where, I mean, like I said, they have poker, they have Uno. There's going to be a ton of other stuff that you can do on that website. I wouldn't even put it past to have like real gambling on that website fairly soon. They're going to have a RuneScape their own version of RuneScape, for example. Just a lot of cool stuff, honestly. And eventually it's going to become an L3 Wabi where they use the DMT token as gas. So there's a lot of deflationary pressures, I feel like, on it. And they have a lot of catalysts coming down the road. So it's something I plan to hold in the next bull run for sure. I got in at basically the listing price.
So this is on Arbitrum, right?
Yeah. But it's going to be its own L3 probably in a few months.
Layer threes, man. When layer 4?
When layer 4?
Hagrid, what's your? I keep calling you Hagrid, but whatever, man.
You can call me Hagrid, man. It's
cool. Yo, what's your favorite altcoin going to the next cycle, man? Put it up on a chart.
I mean, it's probably not going to be too different. I mean, I like DMT. I've really been acquiring a lot of Rollbit like in here, and I mean, my main 3 are Ox, Rollbit, and DMT. Like, you guys have been the killers in finding them. Tommy and I admittedly did form a local bottom here as well as about right here the other day. So I'm liking the price action I'm seeing out of DMT, but I'm a big proponent of Rollbit. This is, I drew my ape zone. This is my ape zone. I'm probably
my ape zone on RLB is like 2 cents, man. Like,
you think we get down there?
The thing is, dude, with Rollbit, like, I have to compare it to something else from the last cycle, and it's Luna. I have no choice but to compare it to something that moves just as volatile, and it's pretty much just like Luna. It has these wild moves to the upsides, and then it has these crazy 35 to 40% retracements that just get eaten up, right? And I think that consolidation that it was in at like 2.5 to 3 cents before like the Hasaka tweet, I think it's going to be revisited at one point. Even though I had like doubled down on it.
You mean like down there?
It was like 6.5 cents, and I think at some point RLB's probably gonna have a 3 handle at some point. I'm not sure if we go higher first, but I've already accepted the fact that like I'm probably just gonna hold that token just because like it moves so volatile that I'm not willing to have a price prediction, right? But if I were to do it like from the peak to where we're at now, it does look like a downtrend, man.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
I think like if we have one more push up to like, just above 8 cents, right? I think I'll probably like exit my bag, if I'm being honest, man. I'll probably exit and then leave like just a short bag in case I end up being wrong. But yeah, roll it, man. It's so crazy how if we look at the prior pre-halving year, the meta was like these gigabrain DeFi protocols, right? It was Ren protocol, right? Like the first bridging project. You're able to bridge your assets from ETH to Polkadot and to all these other chains that didn't go live yet. But the whole thesis around that was you get to bridge your assets across the interchain, right? Across multiple blockchains, right? And then we had synthetics, right? Trading synthetic assets on the blockchain. You're going to be able to trade stocks and all that stuff on the blockchains, commodities, all that stuff. And then we had Chainlink, right? Oracles, the promise of DeFi, right? Like decentralized banking, right? All these crazy, wild narratives. And then it's like you take that gigabrain narrative and then you make a complete 180. And here we are. We're basically speculating on decentralized gambling, right? Because I feel like these projects are decentralizing in the casino in the sense that, like, instead of the Ethereum Foundation having majority stake in it or any of these other large entities, it's the people, right? And it's like the people's casino, right? At least that's how I'm thinking about it, right? Although it is still predatory, but I feel that this whole gambling narrative is just getting started, and if you gamify it, people will be attracted to it, man. And people love, you know, colors and games and all that stuff. And if we really think about it, if you take the average crypto participant, they're basically adult children, right? You have guys in their like 20s and 30s and even 40s. Shockingly enough, 40s. If you guys remember, Tommy, if you remember that one guy who got doxxed and he pretended to be some chick called Kara
Oh
Resident.
yeah. That was
Yeah.
like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah. So basically, the quick story on that is some guy in his 40s who has like 2 kids was pretending to be this like crypto female genius, and she would go after influencers, and her army of simps would go attack anyone who like said anything against her. And then it ends up like he's this guy in his 40s over in the UK, and it was pretty disgusting how all that turned out. And so you have all these guys that are old and they act like kids, right? It's like an adult daycare. And I know, like, we say how all these HR people from Google and Meta, they go to the adult daycare center and all that stuff. And, they sit around and play Legos and they get paid 6 figures a year. Well, kind of the same thing with crypto. You attract those kind of people, right? Like, they're adult children. They have too much free time on their hands, and it's crazy what you get out of all that. And I mean, Pepe, right? Pepe is a result of all that madness, man. And yeah, the next cycle is going to be pretty crazy, man. I wonder what sort of events we're going to see, right?
Max, how many likes did we end up getting today?
So far, we are at 28. You guys killed it again. 2 away from 30. 30 would be fantastic. I don't know if you guys can muster up the strength to help us get to 30 likes. Still got a pretty big audience here, 27 people watching. I bet there's 2 of you out there that haven't liked the video yet. If you could, that would be absolutely amazing. If you've enjoyed the stream so far, please just take one brief moment, smash that thumbs up for us. It does wonders for the algorithm, and it's really helpful as a young channel. But thanks again for being here, guys. What a fun day of trading so far. Lots of volatility.
I think if we hit this FP,
They got us to 30 likes, guys. We just hit 30 likes, man.
Max, what's your favorite altcoin going into next cycle, and why do you like it? Put it up on a chart, brother.
Whatever King Wabi tells me is the best altcoin of next cycle is my favorite one.
I thought you were gonna say Pepe, man.
I mean, yeah, Pepe and I have a special connection, man. I'm one with the frog. But look, here's the thing. I can name one, but
Solana?
I know my strengths as an investor, and I know my weaknesses as an investor. I'm probably not the one to like pick an altcoin gem that's going to go crazy or something like that. I can definitely participate in one and, help chart it out and, explain the narrative, but I don't think I have anything that's, really profound at this point. But yeah, I mean, Tommy brought up an interesting point this morning in our Giga Chad call on our Discord. He said, if curve goes down and, maybe Aave is collateral damage to that as well, you've more or less wiped out a majority of like the prominent DeFi on Ethereum. That does leave a window of opportunity for a chain like Solana, where the devs can really come in and rally. And they really went through like the ringer with what happened with FTX. Like they took the blunt of the blow for sure. So if there's that window of opportunity and the market demands DeFi and the titans of the Ethereum chain are no longer there, I think innately you have to be kind of bullish or optimistic on Solana. But again, I don't have any like, micro cap gems that, I could share at this point. So
yeah, with micro caps, that's kind of like something that happens after the halving. What I'm saying,
Mhm.
like when it comes to those alts that are like under 10 mil market cap, I'm gonna save my energy until after the halving, man. For the
It
long.
has been fun though. There's been a little window here where on-chain degeneracy has been relatively high. So
Yeah, yeah. I think the difference between now and after the halving is that now there's a narrative where like anything that you catch at a low market cap and goes on a run, that can be its run, and that's it. It'll just get outperformed by the new entrants of the market in 2024, 2025. And if you want to bring up this chart, it's called Lambda, Lamda, and you'll see in 2019 it did a similar move to Caspa. Um, so no, wait, is that?
Yeah. This.
Yeah, can you zoom in, man? I'm seeing it like super small right now, but yeah, you see that giant run that it had, and then after that it just completely depleted. If you're in 2019, that's pretty much like the one.
Wow.
Yeah, you see what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
You see what I'm talking about, right? Like
Wow.
you see, it had this crazy run in 2019, and then after that, nothing, right? So that's why I've been saying like anything that you hold right now, before the halving, you have to be willing to accept that the bag will probably be rotated into something else, or it's probably peaked out against everything else that is going to come post halving. If it's already done a crazy move, right? And I accept that, right? But yeah, I think we can wrap up here, guys. Snorlax, if you want to send us off, man.
Yeah, for sure. No, great stream today, guys. Hour and a half. Hope y'all enjoyed the content. We talked everything from crypto to equities to charts to DeFi turmoil. I mean, it's episode fitting for the type of I'm going to keep using the word turbulence that we're seeing in crypto markets right now. But we appreciate y'all for being here with us on this Tuesday morning. We will be back later this afternoon, of course, for our Giga Chad call. And what time is our spaces, Wabi?
We actually have like a pretty big phone call, like around that time period. Yeah. So, as far as spaces go, we have a stream tomorrow with Jackus and a few of the guys from Crypto War Room, and then on Thursday we have a space with Trader NJ and the OpenX guys, and then on Friday we have a YouTube stream with Rob from Digital Asset News, and then I'm trying to cook up something pretty gnarly for Monday. But
you're cooking, Wabi? Wow, he's cooking.
yeah, we've got Trader XO, Trader SC, and fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed, Ben Cowan, man. We have those three guys, bro. Bro, that's gonna be a pretty juicy stream, man. That's gonna be
Chef
a pretty
Wabi.
juicy stream on Twitter, man. And I'm hoping, hopefully, man, the X app, right? The X app.
I don't like saying that. It's so unnatural, man.
Yeah. Hopefully, with X, like we're able to do it with like a computer, right? And we're able to do like screen sharing and actual streaming, right? And I feel like X might have that probably like second half of 2024. I think right now they're just focusing on like revenue for their creators and perks for like Twitter Blue and all that stuff. I think they're focusing on that before they add in like streaming and all that stuff. So hopefully that happens, man. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you enjoy this content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on bell notice to keep up with all of our shows. And if you want to interact with us on a more personal basis, you can go ahead and check our premium links down below in the description. So
Discord's been crushing it, guys. Honestly, it has. So Discord has been crushing it. But appreciate you guys as always. Like I said, for tuning in. Like Wabi said as well. Hope you guys will be back tomorrow morning and have a great rest of your day. Thanks.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.